Hello everybody and welcome to the curtain raiser of season 37 of PSGL PlayStation Split F2 powered by GT Omega. We're finally underway on the brand new F1 game and we're kicking off this campaign at the circuit that we've just visited in real life and the venue of the inaugural Formula 1 Championship race all the way back in 1950. It is of course the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone, and this should be an absolute cracker, very much as it was in real life, a hugely exciting race that we saw. But look here, for the very first time on the Formula 1 2024 game, as we get ready to go for our 18-minute short qualifying session to kick off the season. Very, very exciting stuff. In the virtual commentary box for today, it is only myself, Tom, who has moved up from F3 last season. I'll be doing the F2 this season. Usually I'll be alongside Byron Hell, but unfortunately he is not here this evening, so it is just me, the one job at the moment, as we see a couple of cars coming out to kick off the qualifying session. And you will notice the slight elephant in the room, everybody is in the F1 World cars. So yeah, we'll have to get used to trying to identify them by colour, I think, is going to be the most likely way to do that. We've got a couple of the default liveries in there as well, and also by name, because we have got some returning faces from Formula 2 Split last season. As well as some drivers moving all over the place. Certainly from my Split F3 last season, we have got a couple of drivers moving up as well. But yeah, very excited to get underway. You can see we're on board with Nordic Ninja at the moment, who is the lead car out on track. Just warming those tyres up. This game, of course, is very, very different, and we did have a patch earlier on in the afternoon. So that's going to be interesting to see how the drivers deal with that. But yeah, got to be careful with the tyre temperatures. They're a bigger factor than they were on F1 23. Furthermore, you've got to be got to strategize things a little bit differently. We will expect to see safety cars, of course, and the advantage of brand new tyres we saw was very strong on F1 23. Might not be quite as strong on F1 24. We'll have to wait and see how that one goes. But as everybody gets in, this is going to be a very exciting 90 minutes of action, I would be expecting, as we kick off the season in Silverstone. A very exciting time to get going, and we are going to ride on board here with Nordic Ninja as they back up to try and find a little bit of track space. First car out on track though, and we're going to go for a flying lap with the driver in the well, what would we describe that as? A sort of chromatic silver and pink livery that is the default livery on the F1 game at the moment. So we're going to ride on board with him as we come round the final corner to kick off the first lap of F2 in season number 37, coming down what is the newly named Hamilton Straight. Very bumpy there, you've got to be careful of that as we fly through turn 1 of Abbey and coming up to the very, very technical part of the track. Big lock up on the inside there, avoiding the sausage curb on the inside as we come through turn number 4 now, and we a little bit of understeer there, but managing to keep it within the white lines, of course, and coming onto the first of the main straights that everybody knows what they're called. It is the Wellington Straight as we come up towards Brooklands. Fabulous corner as well, trying to really attack this left-hander, but the car really struggles with understeer there and runs away from you, and then coming through Luffield and up towards the flat section of Woodcote as well, and onto what used to be the old pit straight, of course, and that incredible Cops corner that we've seen so much drama in real life. Of course, we don't want to bring up F1 2021 because we saw that massive accident between Hamilton and Verstappen, although judging what happened a couple of days ago, you think Hamilton's probably got a little bit of revenge from what happened through that season. Through the flat-out Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel section, in my opinion, the best sequence of corners on the Formula 1 calendar. A little bit wide there from Nordic Ninja, but it's been a pretty tidy lap so far, especially for the first lap of the season. You'd expect there would be maybe a little bit of nerves in there coming up towards Stoke Corner, the famous corner where Michael Schumacher broke his legs all those years ago back in the 90s. Eddie Irvine nearly picked up that championship back in 1999, and up towards the Vale chicane to complete the lap, trying to avoid that sausage curb. Not a lot of grip as we come into the final corner. You can see gets the power down very nicely, in fact. So the second half of the lap, very, very impressive for Nordic Ninja. It's a 1:26.1 to kick us off for the season, and the green car of Moustache behind goes a little bit quicker, 7/100ths of a second, and a clip straight away. Wow, we've got some very interesting times coming in here. You'd imagine that the 25s are what we're going to be looking at. Yes, Isaki, who is a driver that's moved up from the F3 split last season, dropping into 4th place there with a 26.4. A little bit of drift as Devon, who actually finished 4th last season in F2, currently holding 4th place. That is now 5th because another driver that will be familiar to frequent watchers of F2 from last season, that is Thomas Covers, into the 25s. First driver into the 1 minute 25s, and only just about 25.9. Who else should we have a look at? Zane, who was in F3 last season, collapsed batters the curb going through the Vale chicane. That's going to lose him a little bit of time in this very interestingly coloured green and purple liveried car. Over the line we go, and it is 8th place. That is now 9th. There's a tailspur into the 125s as well. 2 drivers in there at the moment. As Jian in 3rd place, the lowest driver in the 1 minute 26. There's a lot of times coming in at the moment. Got a couple still waiting to go. Diogo Silva, another driver that was in F2 last season, pops up just inside the top 10 there in the black and purple car in 9th place on a 26.2, as you'd expect in PSGL. And you can see they're actually the drivers in 8th and 9th with exactly the same lap times. That's what we want to see, as getting everybody in the chat. Let's get the vibes going early on, because PSGL on F1 24 is here for the first time. 17 drivers have set times so far. You can see how close it is. A second covering everyone as we get a big lock up there from Pepin going through turn number 3. We're going to see what this first sector split time is, although you would imagine with that little lock up it's going to be a little bit down on the outright pace that we have seen from the likes of Thomas Covers and Tailsbert. I think we are, considering we're in the 25s already, probably looking at maybe a 25.6, 25.7. Has actually gone purple through the first sector, which is an interesting one considering the big lock up we saw from the green and purple car. That is a big slide coming through Luffield. Got to be careful there. Getting the power down too early will either send you into the gravel and subsequently the wall on the left hand side, or you do what Sebastian Vettel did in the, I think it was the 2021 race driving for Aston Martin, dropping it on the exit and going off into what almost was the old pit lane entry. Going through Magnus Beckett and Chapel, like I said earlier, brilliant sequence of corners for Pepin here as we're going to come through. Is it going to be purple again in the middle sector? I would imagine not, and it isn't after that big moment going through Luffield corner. We're going to have to wait and see what the time's got. A couple of yellow flags for people backing off, either on their in-laps or trying to find a little bit of space as we go through Stoke Corner. Nice and tidy, and actually coming into the pit, so maybe the tyre's a little bit overheated and didn't fancy that lap time at all. So let's go through what we've got at the moment. And if we go from fastest lap, we'll go to the distance from the leader. You can see how congested the leaders are at the moment. It's Thomas Covers leading at the moment in a 25.936. 2 drivers in those 1 minute 25s. 0.04 of a second separating himself and Tailsbert, the only other driver in the 25s, of course. And then we've got a cluster of cars separated by not a lot of time at all. If we go from 3rd down into 7th, that is only a 1/10 of a second. Then a little bit of a gap back to Darth FIFA, who, I mean, considering it's crazy to think that 0.04 of a second between cars is going to be considered a pretty sizable gap, but that is PSGL when you get up to the big boy leagues at the moment with Nikos and Diogo Silva with exactly the same time rounding out our top 10. Then we've got Devin ahead of Zane, Caspi and Yasisaki, a little bit further back, a 10th between 12th and 13th place. Paul, Kevin Nall and then Casper Flack with Lakitu at the back of the pack on an in-up at the moment, and a livery that looks, well, actually I thought it was a Williams mock-up, but it is actually the Alpine Esports livery car, as that has a big wobble going through Magnus Beckett's Chapel. So while we've got a little bit of downtime, I think it's important to talk about our sponsors, because they are very, very magnificent. I think everybody can agree. If you head over to GT Omega, who are the title sponsors of PSGL, and use the code PSGL, you'll get yourself a 5% discount. Who wouldn't want that on all of the amazing products they can provide you all? And also Sim Racing Centre SRC. If you head over there and use the same code PSGL, that'll give you 10% off their training services, setups and all the like of that. And if you want to get faster, that is the best place to try and get some help, get some setups, and that will set you on your way. So we've had the first runs. 18 of them were successful. We saw Pepin having that big moment going through Luffield, and his Vasquez also down at the bottom, who hasn't got a time on the board. And you'd probably say that Casper Flack and Lakitu haven't got a representative time at the moment as well, considering they are both 0.3 of a second shy of the next driver in front of them. We're going to see what's the track evolution going to be like. Are we going to see some big jumps in this second run? It'll be interesting to see as well if people go for 2 or 3 runs. We could be seeing people using the used tyres that they used on their first flying lap to try and preserve a set of soft tyres for the race in case of a late race safety car. That didn't work out for Lando Norris in the real life race, putting on some used soft tyres and then throwing away the victory, which McLaren seems to be making a bit of a habit of in the recent few weeks, which is a shame. But we move on from that. We've got Nordic Ninja on a flying lap at the moment and has found 0.02 of a second through the first sector as we come up to Copse Corner. A little bit of traffic going through Magnus and Beckett that they're going to have to deal with, and that could put them off a little bit. with the dirty air effects that you are going to be experiencing in these cars. The ground effect, they were brought in to try and eliminate the dirty air effect and allow racing to work. They haven't eliminated it fully because the laws of physics do exist and they're very difficult to overcome sometimes, but they should get a really nice slipstream here, and does go purple to the middle sector, not using the slipstream from the car over on the right hand side, but is probably going to now feel the effects of the dirty air going through Stowe Corner. A little bit of a wobble on the entry. The car that is what is that, British Racing green and red, gets out of the way on the run up into the Vale chicane. Avoid that sausage curve, nicely done. Avoid it again. Try and get the power down as early as you dare. Little bit of a slide, but it was clean enough. Are we going to be in the 25s with Nordic Ninja? Yes, we are, and we smashed the benchmark by nearly a tenth of a second, 25.8, and that is the time for the rest of the field to chase at the moment. Who should we have a look at? Moustache coming up towards Brooklands, and that is half a tenth found through the first sector, so people finding time early on here. And yeah, we're going to be having a very competitive session come the end of it. More yellow flags, but that'll be just for cars backing up going into the final chicane, trying to find a little bit of track space. Obviously in real life they do it in the pit lane, but that would not really work on the F1 games because you don't have total control over your car. Flat out through Copse Corner. Beautiful sequence of the circuit, and coming up to Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, where we saw Lando Norris in the rain have that massive moment going wide, managed to keep it pointing in the right direction and stay on the black stuff. That was neat and tidy as well, and this is a big improvement for Moustache at the moment. If they can continue to find this amount of time, this will be challenging Nordic Ninja at the top of the timing charts through Stowe Corner, using all of the road on the left hand side to get the car turned in and pick up the optimal line through Stowe and up towards the Vale chicane. Like we said earlier, avoid this sausage curve. Bit of a lock up on the inside front, but doesn't affect them too badly. Maybe the car unsettled a little bit over the bumps there, but round the final corner we go. Is this going to smash the benchmark time? Yes, we find another tenth of a second into the 25.7s now with Moustache. And Nordic Ninja's time that was looking very impressive about 30 seconds ago, now looking a little bit ordinary compared to that, because 1/10 of a second, that's a pretty decent margin in F2 for PSGL, and that's been smashed even further by Pepin. Went purple in the first sector earlier on in the session, and well, showing that there was a lot of pace still in hand. The first driver to really make a big indentation into the 1 minute 25s, 25.550, and that will put some concerned faces maybe on the likes of Moustache and Nordic Ninja as Caspi moves up into fourth place on a 25.9. We'll get that back over to the fastest lap so we can see. We've got some yellow flags flickering, but I think that is just for cars going slowly and trying to get out of the way. Let's have a look on board with Devon, who has just completed a lap to go 11th fastest, make that 12th fastest in the McLaren Esports livery car, getting bumped down all the time down to 13th. We've got Paul, who has just come over the line in 7th, make that 8th as Mario's Formula 1 tries to fill the gap between the two green cars leading the way, but can only get just in front of Moustache, and still just under 2/10 of a second between first and second place at the moment. Very competitive. Diogo Silva is another driver that's lifted themselves into the high 1 minute 25s, 25.8 for the black and grey liveried car there. Oh no, there's a bit of purple on that. I like that. Oh yes, we've seen that before. That's a nice looking livery, I must say. So Casper Flack has also got a more representative time on the board. Now half of our drivers are in the 1 minute 25, so compare that to the first set of flying laps. There's a little bit of traffic, but won't matter a lot considering that they are on an in lap. We've got 10 drivers in the 1 minute 25s. We only had 2. Look at that cluster of cars there. If someone's on a flying lap, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble with all the traffic we're seeing there. Anyone down the order? Lakitu, I don't think has got a representative time in yet, and is still getting stuck in the high 1 minute 26s, a little bit of drift of everybody else. Even Nye, and they have backed off as well. Vasquez have got a lap in, but it's only a 26.3, sat in 18th place at the moment, and we're looking to find a little bit of time there. So 2 out of 3 runs down. We will be expecting everybody to come out again at the end of the session. The question will be, what tyres will they all be on? It's going to be very interesting to see what strategies people are thinking of. They're probably also thinking about their race strategy at this stage as well, because considering they'll be wanting to save a couple of sets of the soft compound tyre. But yeah, they are going to be very interesting to see how this goes. Only driver out on circuit apart from Nordic Ninja, who has been well, the leader of the pack, it has to be said, coming out first in every single part of the session so far. It's Nico, currently sat in 7th place. Big cluster of drivers in the 1 minute 25.9. It's got a nice little club bring there as the yellow flags coming out once again, as that is the Nordic Ninja who we were just speaking about, going past this bright green and purple liveried car of Nico. This is the way we've got to do it. It's almost like the horse racing, where you have to refer to them as the colours of the jerseys sometimes. I'm not a big horse racing fan, so that might be completely incorrect. How long have we got left? Just over 4 minutes to go in this session. So going to be seeing who's going to be first out on the track. We saw in the real-life qualifying session as well, the likes of Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz was in there. I think there was an Aston Martin of Lance Stroll that got caught out by leaving it too late going out on the circuit. And they weren't able to get a representative time in late on in the session. Could say it cost Oscar Piastri a shot at pole position, although the Mercedes looked a little bit too quick for them. We're going to go on board with Nordic Ninja, though, who is going to be the first driver to start and subsequently finish their final flying lap of the session. Another little bit of a lock-up on the inside front. We saw that on the very first flying lap they did on the session, and again, so obviously running very aggressively towards the front on the front brake bias, trying not to lock the rear tyres, which is very easy to do on this game. Coming up towards Brooklands corner now, and has found a 10th for second, trying to keep it nice and tight to the left hand side and then swing it back towards Luffield. We saw Yuki Tsunoda spin in practice here, and that was the end of his session earlier on Friday afternoon, but that was very neat and tidy coming up towards Cop corner, and the driver that's currently in 5th place will be looking to make a big dent into the lead that Pepin has got, and it's a pretty substantial lead that we saw earlier on, still just under 0.2 of a second as everybody starts to file out of the pits, and track space is going to be a big problem. Maybe a little bit of traffic here for Nordic Ninja, which will be it's a black car on the track map, but we're not quite sure who it is. A 10th of a second has been found, but that is not going to be enough to jump them anywhere near the green livery car of Pepin. Into Stoke corner we go, really attack the inside curb here and then try not to exceed track limits on the left hand side. Coming up towards the Vale chicane, is it going to be nice and tight? A little bit of a rear lock-up potentially on the entry, and gets very unstable, and that is too much exit curb, and that is going to be lap absolutely ruined for Nordic Ninja. It's a 26.4, all of the time going in that final sector, well, the final couple of corners it has to be said, cutting the first as well, and that's going to be the end of Nordic Ninja's session. So it's going to be 5th place at best, which seeing the pace that's been shown will maybe be a little bit disappointing. Here's Darth FIFA, who's just started a lap. Another big lock-up going into turn number 3 of Village, and that's got to be something that people have got to be careful of during the race. Try not to destroy that front right tyre and use all of the grip up earlier in the session. There's going to be some traffic here for Darth FIFA, though. That car is not positioned very nicely, probably caught out a little bit by the lockup as well, and does go a little bit wide through Brooklands in towards Luffield, and that's going to compromise their run all the way up towards Copse corner as the McLaren Esports livery car weaving around. I thought they were going to get out of the way. They're going to have to get out of the way before Copse corner, still weaving around. Please get out of the way, sir. This is going to really inhibit Darth FIFA. Going to have a whole load of understeer through the dirty air of Copse corner, and does get out of the way on the exit. Hopefully that didn't compromise them too much, although down in 15th on a 26.2, that's not going to be conducive to helping them get up towards the top 10. Darth FIFA obviously moving up from F3 last season. We'll look at the split time. Did they lose too much? Well, they found 0.3 of a second, and thankfully not inhibited too much. Got cars getting in the way here, and that is not very good from the pink liveried car there. I think that might have been ET8 Paul and Darth FIFA thrown into the gravel by that. Had to take avoiding action. That is qualifying session absolutely ruined for the driver in the I was going to say the black and chromatic livery, but there's a little bit of red in there. I think there was a little bit of gold as well, and that's going to be 15th place at best, unfortunately, for Darth FIFA. Caught out by the traffic going into Stoke corner, of people backing up to try and find a little bit of track space. Another lock up into Village. This time it's IRT Devon down in 14th at the moment, finished 4th in the season last gone. Nordic Ninja and Darth FIFA retiring in the pit, so like we predicted, their session is done. Devon, are we going to see a big improvement? No, down by 0.02 of a second. Going to be a little bit disappointed by that. The checkered flag will be coming out any moment now, and people will be confirming their grid spots for the 26 lap race that we will have in just 5 minutes time. You can see there just over 15 seconds to go. All this Devon going to do is we come up towards Copse corner. You can't really mess this up unless you're Sergio Perez in mixed conditions, and he takes a nicely little bit of a downshift into 8th place, but matters not there. Up into 5th place we go with Diogo Silva, finding a little bit of time over the line to jump Nordic Ninja, who is of course in the pits after that mistake going through the Vale chicane. Has Devon found any more time? No. Matching almost their personal best, but just a little bit down. Gian is done in 10th place on a 25.9. Same for Thomas Covers, will be a little bit disappointed in 11th on a 25.9 as well. Very close, and in fact does exceed track limits going through Stoke corner, and that is the end of Devon's session. Another driver will be disappointed to be down the order. Here's Yasser Saki, also down the order in 17th place, coming up towards Copse corner now. The checkered flag is firmly out. Pepin doesn't improve, stays fastest. Moustache has got very close, but is still a third of a tenth back as Marius Formula doesn't improve, stays third fastest at the moment. Yasser Saki very close to exceeding track limits there, going through Magnus Beckett and Chapel. Here's Paul, who doesn't improve on their flying lap, is a 26.0, stays in 13th place. Here is Casper Flack round the final corner, big improvement from 14th, needed it up into 5th place, but still 0.2 shy of Pepin's fastest lap for the McLaren Esports livery driver. Tailsborough not improving 4 seconds down. Moustache, we've already seen the best that they've got to offer. Is Yasisaki up by 100th of a second through the first couple of sectors. That's not going to be enough to challenge the top 10, you would imagine, on 26.3. At the moment, it's a 26.1. Does find just over a 10th and a half, but stays only 16th place. Who are we waiting for? I think everybody is done, unfortunately, for them. And it's going to be Pepin, who set that brilliant lap earlier in the session. Didn't improve on it second time around, but a fantastic benchmark laid down, and nobody was able to challenge it. Moustache got close, so did Marius Formula, the only driver to get in the 25.6s. But here's a front row lockout of the alien green cars, you could say, and I think that was a very, very exciting session we got there. So as everyone dives into the pits, we're going to see the final running order, and we can hopefully with no grid penalties that we would need to apply as well. And fingers crossed, I didn't see any notifications come up, so fingers crossed for everybody watching in the chat as well, as we wait for those guys to come around into the pits. But yeah, Pepin will be delighted with that, as will Moustache. Marius Formula as well. Tailsborough didn't improve on the final lap, and then it is Casper Flack, who was struggling a little bit throughout that session, it has to be said. Was 17th or 18th after the first flying laps, just inside the top 10 on the second, ends up in P5, so some really nice progression throughout the session there from the McLaren Esports liveried car. Got 40 seconds to go. Waiting for it. There we go. We get the cut to black, and we are in. So there is our final qualifying order. It is Pepin ahead of Moustache, the two green liveried cars on the front row, Marius Formula, Tailsborough, and Casper Flack completing our top five. Top five covered by 23. I've messed this up completely. 23,000 milliseconds. I don't think that's right at all, but we're going to go with it anyway. Diogo Silva, Nico, Nordic Ninja, who has bumped down after that mistake on their final flying lap, Spanias, and then Kasabi down in 10th. The top 10 covered by 3.5 tenths. Then it's Jan and Thomas Covers, who got pushed down at the end. Zane, Paul, Kevin Knight, Yasser, Saki, Devin, who made that mistake, Darth Thief, who was called out on their final flying lap going through Stowe Corner, Vasquez, and Lakity, who I don't think got an improvement late on in the session. It is 6/10 adrift, which will be a little bit disappointing, but hopefully they'll be able to find it more in the race. Very exciting qualifying session. I think we can all agree as we get ready to go for the first time in race conditions, and that weather is absolutely stunning. Little bit of cloud cover, be perfect for cricket conditions, you'd have to say. Jimmy Anderson in his final test match tomorrow will be swinging it around corners in these conditions, but we're not on a cricket field. We are in the glorious world of Formula One as we get ready for everyone to maybe make some setup tweaks, changing the wing levels they've got, because obviously part firming will be enabled. You can make limited changes if people weren't happy with their setups, and also choosing the tyre and fuel strategies as well. Hopefully we get a nice mix of well, hopefully all three tyres, but judging from how many people were willing to use the soft tyres at the end of the session, I don't think there'll be a particularly fantastic race tyre, and we could be seeing the standard medium to hard one-stop strategy, unless someone wants to go for the alternate and go for a two-stop, because on this game the tyre wear is significantly worse than it was on F1 23. You really do have to baby the tyres around certain corners, and the likes of Stowe Corner, the likes of Copse Corner, and through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, also through Brooklands and Luffield, you're going to be putting a lot of load in those front tyres, so we're going to have to see who can weather the storm of the aggressive tyre wear around Silverstone. It was known for a few years, wasn't it, as the front left Grand Prix, if I remember that correctly, because it would absolutely destroy your front left tyre. Lewis Hamilton will and Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas will have pretty decent memories of having their front tyres exploded after the significant wear they suffered in the 2020 race. I can't remember if that was Silverstone or if that was the British Grand Prix, if it was the what's it called? Was it the 70th anniversary Grand Prix? I think that's what it was. It's COVID times, a long time ago. We're getting ready to go, though, with 5 red lights, 2 green cars on the front row, 5 lights ahead of the drivers, and for the first time, it is lights out, and away we go. Pepin, decent start from pole position. Moustache having to defend potentially from the blue and purple car of Marius Formula behind, but they all get through turn 1 nice and tidy, with Casper Flack running a little bit wide potentially, and are we going to go on the offensive with Moustache down into turn number 3? No, sits behind for now. A lot of lockups, and we've got a car off the road further back. I think that might be Vasquez, or it potentially is Devin, who's not getting the rub of the green, unfortunately enough. Tails, but all over the back of Marius Formula as they come onto the Wellington straight, is potentially going to attack the what would we call that, the purple and navy car. No, thinks better of it down into Brooklands and holds onto 4th place for the time being. Big gaggle of cars behind. It's Zane trying to get a move on alongside Thomas Covers as they race side by side through Luffield Corner and up towards up towards Copse Corner, where we saw that infamous collision a few years ago. Moustache was very close to the back of Pepin, but doesn't think about an audacious move up the inside into Copse Corner. You can see ERS lights flashing. That's another thing people have got to get used to as well. Managing the ERS, recharging, knowing when the time is to burn that battery as well, to potentially gain a position or two. A little bit wide there for Marius Foreman. It could be under a little bit of pressure from the driver in fourth place. That is Tailspur 508 as we come onto the hanger straight, and this is where we're going to see potentially some moves down into Stoke Corner, and that is Diogo Silva going defensive. Nico looking for any which way pass. He's going to go up the inside into Stoke Corner. Not a lot of space given on the inside, and it was actually Nico backing out of that, so thinking better of it, thinking about lap 26 rather than lap number 1, and holds on to 7th place for the time being. Big lockup from Casper Flinch, who is actually alongside Tails, but going into the Vale chicane. A little bit of contact, no damage fortunately enough for the McLaren Esports livery car, and will hold on to 5th place. And it is still, as we were out in front, the top 5 in the same order. Diogo Silva potentially a little look up the inside into turn number 1 of Casper Flack, but thinks better of it and will stay in 6th place, maybe having to go from attack to defence, in fact, with Nico sat just behind in a very favourable and popular green and purple liveried car. That's a little bit of a look up the inside. He was trying to get 6th place into Stoke Corner, certainly not satisfied, sat behind for now and forces his way through onto the Wellington straight, but further forward, got a battle for the lead, and Pepin relinquishes it very, very easy to Moustache, who is up into 1st place. Both drivers on the soft compound tyre, and is now still a green 1-2, but it is now Moustache ahead of Pepin, and we are going to get the tyres that everybody has got on. 50-50 split, I would say. That is soft tyres versus medium tyres. Nobody opting for the hard compound tyres, interestingly enough, so no one going for that third alternate strategy. And Pepin's got to be careful of Marius Foreman, who looks a little bit wide there going through Copse Corner, but not wide enough to be under pressure from any of the cars further back. Let's have a little look down the order further back. This is Vasquez all over the back of Nye, coming out of Copse Corner and into Magus Beckett and Chapel. You can see that red light flashing at the back of the car. That means they're charging the ARS, looking for any way around. You can see the cars leaning as they go through Copse Corner and the Magus and Beckett and Chapel section. That was a very weird little wide moment there from Nye, losing 18th place, potentially going to lose 19th place as well and fall down to last. This is the wooden spoon battle up towards Stoke Corner, but does hold on to 19th for the time being, under pressure from Lakitu, but stays in 19th. And the battle for the wooden spoon, you would imagine, is going to continue for the rest of this race. Moustache has put a little bit of a distance between himself and Pepin, who's actually got Marius Formula to try and defend from behind. 2.5 tenths the gap there. Who's going to be the first driver to fall out of DRS range of the car in front? That's what we've got to note, because the DRS training is of course very powerful. That is Tails, but very late on the brakes, looking for a move around the outside of Marius Formula. It turns to the inside and it's going to get 3rd place momentarily, because the two purple cars are going to go side by side, and onto the Wellington straight we go. It's Marius Formula that holds on to that for the time being, but the intention is made very clear by Tailsborough, very aggressively sending it around the outside, clean as you like, but wasn't just able to get up onto the podium for the time being. You see the red light there flashing at the back of Mario Formula's car as he's just trying to recharge that ERS to try and give him a burst up towards Copse Corner. Can I speak any faster? I should get on the horse racing, shouldn't I, with the speed that we're going at the moment. There's just so much action. We've got to get involved with it, haven't we? Going through Copse Corner we go there. Casper Flack has lost a little bit of time to the group in front. If half a second is a little bit of time, which it is in PSGL, because you've got to stay as close to the car in front as possible. Zane very close to the back of Kasabi, going through Magus Beckett and Chapel. Gian also very close to the back of Diogo Silva, who is the lead medium tyre runner at this stage, in 7th place, starting on the mediums. Then we've got Kasabi in 11th, also on the mediums, and then the group at the back on the medium tyres. The battle for the wooden spoon going on. Let's go down to 19th and 20th. It is Lakitu around the outside of Kevin Knight. Both have lost DRS to the car in front, but it is the Alpine Esports livery car that does get ahead of the, what are we calling that, blue and yellow livery car? I think it's just blue and white there, of Kevin Nye, who drops down into 20th place there. Lap number 4, Moustache leading by just under 4 tenths of a second. Equidistant back from Pepin to Marius Formula in 3rd place. Big lockup, I think that's the race leader. Thankfully not quite going wide there, and will hold on to the lead for the time being. Another big lockup. People really struggling there. Going into turn number 3. Tesla all over the back of Marius Formula, who equally is all over the back of Pepin, and we're going to see this run down the Wellington straight. But look at the straight line speed that Pepin's got. ERS light flashing at the back of the car. You wouldn't imagine he's recharging there, potentially using all of the battery, because Marius Formula has got a whole heap of it, nearly 100%. As what there is the magic number of 100%. Big snap of oversteer from Moustache going through Luffield Corner, and that's going to put him under pressure from Pepin, who's got 60% of ERS left. Are we going to see him move into Copse Corner? I highly doubt it. It would be it'll be very exciting, but we're not going to get it, unfortunately enough. We'll stay glued to the back of the car that is a similar colour. bright green, almost alien green, it has to be said, as we are almost pushing him through Magus Beckett and Chapel, very, very close to the back of Moustache, and this could be Pepin trying to get the lead of the race back, and with the helping hand of DRS and probably that battery, will be flying past Moustache and reclaiming the lead that he held from the first lap. Round the outside we go, a lot of space to the inside, thought better of it, and here comes Mario's Formula getting past Moustache as well, so it's 2 places lost in the space of just 1 straight, and Moustache, who started second, got up into the lead, potentially thinking about a move up the inside into the Vale chicane, but thinks better of it and will stay in 3rd place for the time being. Nobody has dropped out of DRS range until you go down into 19th place with Lakitu and even Nye, who are still battling for the wooden spoon in 19th and 20th there. It was a very good little scrap that we were seeing a few laps ago. Marius Formula very close to the back of Pepin, potentially thinking about a move as the race leader once again locks up into turn number 3. Tailsborough all over the back of Moustache, and that's a big lunge up the inside. Wheel bang as well as a driver that was in the lead about 60 seconds ago could be relegated down into 4th. Just holds it around the outside. Marius Formula going defensive because he's got the 2 guys behind very, very close indeed. Who's going to come out on top in this battle? The green car falling backwards, trying to swing it around the outside, and will hold on to 3rd place impressively enough. Casper Flack trying to get involved as well, with Nico's a very, very comfortable spectator in 6th place at the moment. On the run up towards Copse Corner, I think Tailsborough is going to be very, very aggressive, as is Casper Flack, trying to get his nose alongside, but thinks better of, doesn't want to have an aeroplane crash and throw himself into the gravel and the barrier on the left hand side there, and will stay in 5th place. This is some very, very interesting race we get. So it's like a chess match at the moment. They're just moving the pawns around, just waiting to see who can make the move first. It's almost like the first few rounds of a boxing match as well. We're just seeing the early spars, the early jabbing, as we've got a pass for the lead as I'm rambling on about a completely different sport. It's Marius Formula up into the lead of the race through Stoke Corner. Not a lot of defence offer from Pepin, who's now going to be careful of the car behind in the purple and green. And Moustache and Casper Flack, I think, has had a little bit of an error there going into the Vale chicane. We had the yellow flags out, which I imagine is for the McLaren Esports liveried car, and was sending it up the inside of Tailsborough. Didn't work out. Battles going on behind us. Diogo Silva tries to hold on to 7th place, with Gian sat very close behind, and Nico, who's been a very willing spectator in the previous 5 minutes or so, now potentially thinking about making a move. As once again we've got a car off. I think that is Gian, who was potentially trying to look around the outside of Diogo Silva, taking a trip off into the pickets on the left hand side, and rejoins way down the field in 13th. I think he's rejoined alongside Darth FIFA, who's trying to recover from that calamity that we saw in qualifying, and it is 14th for Gian, so they'll be very disappointed with that. Now last of the soft tyre runners, only the guys on the mediums that started towards the back are behind him. Devon unable to make a lot of progress at this stage of the race, and Lakitu and even Kai are they're losing a little bit of time now. Majorly detached at the back of the pack. 3.5 seconds between himself and Thomas Covers, who's also had a pretty poor start. Started from, I think it was 11th or 12th, now down in 18th. They won't be particularly pleased with that. Let's rejoin the lead battle though. It's still Marius Formula, although I think that is probably going to switch as look at the roll they're getting through Magus, Beckett and Chapel. That's the new suspension systems implemented for this new game. Has put a little bit of distance between himself and Pepin, it has to be said. It was also put a little bit of distance between himself and Moustache. Just 0.4 of a second is Casper Flack, who's potentially thinking about having to go defensive with Nico very close behind, and thankfully for the McLaren Esports liveried car, does hold on to 5th, and Nico wasn't close enough to make a move. Diogo Silva still holding on to 7th place. A very valiant effort it has to be on those medium tyres, which would have started the race considerably slower than the softs. Some people would have been on used softs, some would have been on the brand new tyres. He's done a very, very commendable job holding on to 7th, ahead of Nordic Ninja, who shows some real promise in qualifying, hasn't managed to make the moves through the field that we were potentially expecting. It's just a little bit stuck in this DRS train down in 8th. This is Casper Flack trying to send it around the outside of Tailsborough, though, has been waiting for this. It's been a couple of laps coming, little bit of argy-bargy as we go through the apex, and on to the Hangar Straight we go, the Wellington Straight, sorry, and Casper Flack a little bit wobbly on the exit, unable to get past Tailsborough. It was a bit of a bump and run, it has to be said, and holds on to 5th place for the time being, as Darth FIFA trying to recover from that calamity in qualifying up into 12th. That is pushed back down to 13th, as he was side by side with Yasisaki, but it's the well, what are we calling that? Green, yellow and purple liveried car with a bit of red in there as well, holding on to 12th place there. Moving further forward, I'm going to have to take a drink at the moment. This is exciting stuff. Marius Formula, 0.4 of a second clear of Pepin, equidistant, almost exactly equidistant back to Moustache in 3rd place. Looks like the leaders at least have settled down a little bit, but this group behind of Tailsborough, Casper Flack, Nico, Diogo Silva, Nordic Ninja, they're going to be chomping at the bit to try and get their way to the front of this pack and try and control the pace, try and look after those tyres. And we are going to be seeing some pit stops, you would imagine, in the next couple of laps. Those soft tyres will be past their best at this stage of the race, as Casper Flack goes a little bit wide going through Stoke Corner, but matters not. Another lock up into the Vale chicane. This time it's Mario's Formula, but comfortably ahead of Pepin. That gap just going over 0.6 of a second. That's the biggest lead that anyone's had in this session so far, and Pepin maybe just got to have a little think about that. Looking further down the order, well, if we go down to 19th and 20th, it's a big shame for even Knight and Lakitu, because they've dropped 6.5 seconds off the back of the pack. They'll be praying for a safety car at some point, which, with everyone so bunched up and so closely congested, that is very possible. Casper Flack almost bringing out the safety car, but he managed to catch the slide and hold on to 5th place. Lost a little bit of time to the group in front, and under slight pressure from Nikos, but very much not close enough. That's a huge lockup for Diogo Silva, though, and it's going to be under pressure from Nordic Ninja, who's bided their time. Now they're trying to swing it around the outside of Luffield Corner. Couldn't get alongside enough through Brooklands, and will have to bide his time on the run-up potentially into Copse Corner. Is he going to burn some ERS? You'd imagine Diogo Silva doing the same, and turns it off, because going up the inside of Copse Corner, as Christian Horner once said, is not necessarily the move you want to make, even though we have seen it a few times in real life, most notably Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel back in 2014, which was, I believe, a very, very interesting race. Anyway, moving back to the leading battle, that is Moustache going very wide through Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel, and it's given Talesborough a little bit of a sense of an opportunity, but look at the ERS usage there from Moustache. You wouldn't imagine that's all down to the wing levels they're using, trying to hold on to 3rd place. Kasabian, Spanias battling into Stoke Corner, and that is going all the way around the outside for the driver that moves up into 9th place on the medium compound tyres, don't forget, so potentially those tyres quicker at this stage of the race, which would be interesting to see. Can Diogo Silva make some moves forward? Gian is the first driver to blink and come into the box for what you would imagine will be one of 2 stops in this race. I doubt they'll put the hard tyres on, although I've been proven wrong a number of times in the past. Another lock-up for Marius Formula. Pepin doing the same. Talesborough very close to the back of Moustache once again as the top 5 continue in formation with Nikos and Diogo Silva. I think they've managed to hold on to their position. We're going to go to the positions gained graphic. Couple of changes out in front. It's obviously Marius Formula moving up from 3rd into 1st. Nikos and Diogo Silva swapping place, and then a couple of drivers flipping until you get outside of the top 10, of course, where is Zayn up 2, Yasisaki up 4, and Darth FIFA up 5, the big movers. Because we'll bring that to the tyres, because then we can have a look at what tyres Jan has put on. Those are the medium tyres, so that signifies to all of us what we were potentially expecting when they started on the softs. It is going to be a 2-stop race, so we are going to see a couple of trips to the pits. Very exciting indeed. Casper Flack close to the back of Talesborough through Copse Corner, but not close enough to make a move through Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel. Pepin has managed to close back up to the rear of the purple liveried car of Marius Formula. Once again, Moustache is a little bit wide going through Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel. Is this the opportunity to cut the car at the moment and into the pits? That looked like a very late call from Tails, but that is the first of the leading contenders to make a dart into the pits to get on a new set of boots. Casper Flack following them in and almost pushing him into the pit lane. Imagine, I wonder what the rule would be there if you make contact with the driver, push them over the line, they end up getting a pit lane speed limit penalty. That's an interesting one. FIA, let's get some clarification on that. Into the box we go. People I don't think are going to know who their teammates are, so they could be hurt a little bit there. I'm hoping Casper Flack, yes, a little bit of a delay there, but does get out of the box, and we're going to see actually where Gian, who picked up a 1-lap undercut on this group of cars that are coming to the pits on the brand new mediums, where is he going to be in contention or in comparison with everybody else? Let's get your bets in as Talesborough, Casper Flack and Spanias coming out of the pits. Moustache has got ahead of Pepin through Brooklands and Luffield, that is, trying to get on board, but Pepin trying to get alongside, just enough racing room left on the exit, and holds on to 2nd place with a staunchly defended move. And Moustache isn't quite satisfied with that, though, as Talesborough picks up a penalty for corner cutting just coming out of the pits. That's going to be hugely disappointing. Moustache still pushing Pepin. This is the overtake we're potentially waiting for, coming up towards Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel. We've seen some airplane crashes in the past of people going side by side through here, and there was a little bit of a snap from Pepin, but just holds on to 2nd place. Look at the gap in front there, crucially 1.4 seconds between himself and Marius Formula, and it's going to be a sitting duck down the straight on the run up towards Stoke Corner, down into 3rd, could be 4th if Nico's close enough, not quite close enough as the 3 green liveried cars squabble over 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Surely everybody's going to come into the pits. Yes, the race leader's in. It's Pepin that's staying out. That's interesting, because it looks like he's the one that's struggling the most on those tyres, going for an extra lap. As Marius Formula, the race leader, is into the pits. Talesborough, that 3-second penalty could be crucial because of how congested the field is. A couple of drivers into the pits on the mediums, I think, as well. Yes, Thomas Covers started on medium tyres, getting rid of those mediums, so maybe signifying that they're not a particularly good race tyre. Having said that, everybody switches onto the medium tyres. So, you know, You live and learn, and I get proved wrong in every single race that I do in any formula. Coming around the final corner with Tails, but it's not the fastest lap from these guys on that outlap. Where are they going to be in comparison to the guys coming out of the pits? We can see Mario's formula coming through, but I think Moustache is going to get jumped by Tails and Casper Flack, so the undercut works. They get track position over one of the green cars fighting for the lead, but it is still Mario's formula who timed it absolutely to perfection to hold on to the net lead of this race. 8.5 seconds to the group in front, or the pair in front, which is still Lakitu and even Nye battling over what is 9th and 10th on the road, but is 19th and 20th, sorry, in the realistic running order. And now we're going to see how Pepin, how Nordic Ninja react to this. Paul's dropped off the back of Kasabi, which means that Darth FIFA can potentially try and enact some revenge from what we saw in qualifying. It was the pink liveried car of ET8 Paul that got in the way. That's a big wobble on the exit though, and Devin says thank you very much, needs no invitation to get past Darth FIFA, who falls from 6th down to 7th, and those soft tyres going to be past their best. Here comes Vasquez as well to relinquish Darth FIFA of 7th, and I imagine that black and red car is going to be diving into the pits. Yes, they do. Devin in as well. Pepin and Nordic Ninja also on the soft compound tyres diving into the box. It's only going to be Diogo Silva who's done a very, very commendable job on those mediums, as has Kasabi, both in the same livery. No, it says they're in both black cars. One of them is this sort of brownie colour there, interestingly enough. Anyway, moving back down the order is Mario's formula, potentially looking at the inside of Tailsborough into the Vale chicane. It's actually Tailsborough that's got through from Mario's formula as he tries to get those medium tyres up to temperature. Casper Flack lost a little bit of time behind. Then it is Moustache. Where are we going to be with Pepin coming out of the pits along with Nordic Ninja? You'd imagine these guys are going to be so far ahead. Yes, the undercut is very, very strong, and Pepin has lost a whole heap of time and positions. It's going to be in, what is that, a net 6th place potentially? Drop behind Spanias and just staying ahead of Nico there, who also came in on the same lap as Pepin. Oh no, came in on the lap before, sorry. So Nico's lost a little bit of time there as well with that middling lap to coming for a pit stop, you would have to say. So the top 6 staying out. We're waiting for Tailsborough and Marius Formula to catch the pair in front of Lakitu and even Nye, battling over 5th and 6th now on the road, but they are almost 10 seconds off the back of the real pack. ET8 Paul also seems to be struggling a little bit for pace, dropped 3.5 seconds now to the back of Diogo Silva and Kasabi, who are very close as well. And I think we might have a pass for what is not technically the race lead, but it is the race lead on the road at the moment. Through goes Kasabi up into 1st place. Diogo Silva relegated down into 2nd. Will we see these guys coming to the pits? No, we don't. These drivers that have started on the mediums, as they both have a big lock-up into the Vale chicane, you'd imagine are going to go for the hard tyres. They're going to try and make this one stop work. They've got a decent buffer, 12 seconds between themselves, and it's actually more than that, as Lakitu is the second driver to pick up a penalty. If we look at the gap to the leader, they've got 21 seconds over Tailsborough and Marius Formula, so this could be the winning strategy. We'll have to wait and see when they come out on the hard tyres, if of course that is what they are thinking. But at the moment, if it is the one stop they are going for, they're sitting pretty out in 1st to 2nd at the moment, with ET8 Paul and Vasquez not quite with the pace that these guys out in front, the pair out in front, are showing. Further back, Moustache has dropped behind Casper Flack. Oh no, I think that was after the pit stops. Pepin's race continuing to unravel slightly, because Spanias in front has dropped out of DRS range of the group in front of them, as Pepin getting caught up a little bit with the smoke screen deployed by Spanias in 11th. And then we've got a whole host of green cars battling over 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. Look at them all. It's like aliens have invaded Silverstone here, because they're all running the same livery. And as they battle down into Brooklands corner, is Nikos, who locks up a little bit but holds on to 13th ahead of Gian Zane. Then it is Nordic Silver, and interestingly enough, David has put on the soft compound tyre, started on the mediums, gone on to the soft, so that is consigning himself to a 2-stop strategy. Yasasaki, Darth FIFA, and then Thomas Covers, who's a little bit detached at the back of the pack as well on those soft tyres. Also 2 laps completed for the driver in 20th place. Look at this group of green cars. The gaggle of greens battling just outside of the top 10. And it's Gian who is potentially on the move, trying to get past Nikos, who's 7/10 almost behind Pepin, which, if you look at the gaps between all the drivers at the moment, that's pretty significant, it has to be said, but not close enough with the help of DRS. It's actually behind them. Nordic Ninja trying to use those soft tyres to his advantage. Oh no, the medium, sorry. My mistake there. Zane, all out of sorts though, going through Stoke Corner, did not trouble the apex at all. And on the run up into the Vale chicane, who's going to be the last of the late breakers? It's Zane, just about, cuts across to the inside, slams the door firmly in the face of Nordic Ninja, and that is 15th, held for the time being for Zane ahead of Nordic Ninja. You'd imagine Devin on those soft tyres will be catching them, bringing Yasisaki and Darth FIFA along with them. Return to the net race leaders though. It is still Tailsborough ahead of Mario's Formula, ahead of Casper Flack, ahead of Moustache. And this group of 4 have broken away a little bit from the trio of cars, I think that is, just behind them. Casper Flack having to go defensive because Moustache made a very late assault to try and get past the McLaren Esports liveried car, but wasn't quite able to nick ninth place from under his nose and will stay in 10th place for the time being, which of course is a net 4th place if you take into account the guys that still need to stop. And this quadrant are starting to catch the two cars in front, which is even Knight and Lacti, who are the slower drivers in the field at the moment. We have another change in hand for the lead as Diogo Silva gets past Kasabi and Vasquez finally gets past ET8 Paul, which has been a few laps coming as they drop 4 seconds off the back of that duo out in front. And who is going to end this straight in the lead of this group? Because I can bet you bottom dollar it's probably not going to be in the order. We are now out to the right hand side. We go with Mario's Formula. He's going to get past Tails, but I think Casper Flack is going to follow through as well. Yes, he does, and that is Tailsborough down into 9th place, their 3rd net if you take into account these pit stops. Casper Flack wasn't satisfied with just getting past the black and purple livery car of Tailsborough. Wanted another black and purple livery car, and it was Marius Formula who was his victim, but couldn't quite get enough of his car alongside going into Stowe Corner and will remain in 7th. Vasquez into the box for the soft compound tyres. Lactu in as well. You'd imagine hard tyres potentially trying to go to the end here. Soft tyres 13. Maths is failing me there. 11 laps on soft tyres would be a gamble, has to be said. It would be difficult, but they are going to go for it, and we're going to have to wait and see if that one stop can pay off, in particular for Vasquez, but more importantly for Diogo Silva and Kasabi, who are definitely going to go to the soft tyres if they carry on for another couple of laps. Moustache very close to the back of Tails, but almost pushing them down the Wellington straight, but has to settle for staying in 8th place for the time being. And Pepper has managed to get past Spanias as well, going into Brooklands up into 9th place. That is a net 5th for the pole sitter, trying to recover a race that was unravelling at one stage, but they're doing very nicely just to bring themselves back in, very much like Max Verstappen did yesterday. Was completely out of it, but then somehow managed to pull his way back through. I think that's a big wobble going through Copse Corner though for Casper Flack, and under pressure coming up towards Maggots Beckers and Chapel. We've got a bit of lag going on as well, and the migrating host, that's slightly worrying. Casper Flack has left the session. That's hugely unfortunate as Mario's Formula is caught up behind the not a back marker, but the yet to pit even Nye, who's now going to try and get out of the way for the leaders coming through. Here comes Tailsborough. Moustache is not quite close enough to make a move into Stowe Corner. Going to get held up significantly, and a bit of contact as well to boot. I think Nye wants to get into the pits, has got front wing damage. You could just spot it there. Hugely disappointing for Casper Flack, who's now fallen behind Pepper and will have to try and rejoin the session. And oh no, the position's tumbling, and Casper Flack, who was looking like a very decent shout to challenge for the victory, is tumbling down the order now, and that's probably going to be race over for the McLaren Esports liveried car. Huge shame for a driver that showed a lot of pace in this race, built up nicely in qualifying, but yeah, hugely unfortunate circumstances there. Two drivers yet to pit is Diogo Silva and ET8 Paul. 13 seconds clear of Mario Silva. Diogo Silva of Mario's Formula, sorry. And Diogo Silva's looking very strong to take a potential victory here. We are going to have to try and send an invite to Casper Flack here, so let's try and get that sorted very quickly so we can get him back in the session. Invite has been sent as into the box comes Diogo Silva and ET8 Paul, and I'm just going to relinquish Mario's Formula and Tailsborough to lead the race, reclaim the net lead of the race. Diogo Silva going to be fascinated to see where they come out on those brand new soft compact tyres. Paul going for the same idea, but 5 seconds further back. It's going to be difficult for them to try and fight their way through, and through the leaders go. So we're now going to see the scale of Diogo Silva's task on the soft compound tyres. Going to rejoin in, well, a long way down in fact. Invite didn't send. Oh no. Okay, we're going to try and get this sorted again. We'll invite through EA this time, as that is a pass for the lead. Tailsborough getting up the inside of Mario's Formula to take the lead of the race going into Brooklands, and Mario's Formula indeed in 4th ahead of Spanias. I have sent the invite on EA, Casper Flack. It obviously didn't work on PlayStation, so hopefully you can jump back in with that. Let us know if you did manage to receive that or not. And what have we got? We've got the group of the top 9. Then it's Kasabi, who came out on the soft compound tyres ahead of Yasisaki and Devin, Darth FIFA, Vasquez and Darth FIFA, who has actually just got in front. We're going to have to send another. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Game invite sent. Casper Flack. Using the DRS here is Darth FIFA, trying to use the slipstream of the cars in front to get ahead of Vasquez, who's on the soft compound tyres. Can't get through, up into, or stays in 13th place. For whatever reason, Casper, it's obviously not working. So I'm trying my best here to get you back into the session, my friend. But I can invite everybody else on my friends list apart from you, which is a strange one. So I don't know if you're offline or something, but yeah. I'll chuck it in EA again. I've invited you multiple times though, so other than that, I don't really know what I can potentially do there. We've got a big battle for the lead though. 4 cars wide, almost going up into Stoke Corner as we tried to return to the action. And there is contact. Who's that round? I think that's Tails, but going off the circuit is Moustache there. We've got some yellow flags out. Not going to see a safety car. I think, yeah, Tails, but tumbling down the field, down into 9th place, drops to the back of this huge group of cars. He's going to have to try and fight their way all the way back through. Kasabi trying to catch this group as well on those brand new soft compound tyres. Thomas covers with a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, 10 seconds. We've got yellow flags still in the final sector, but Mario's Formula leading the way ahead of Pepin and Moustache. Then it is Spanias ahead of Nico Gian, who was, nowhere in this race, but went for the big undercut, 10 lap old tyres. It's certainly worked out for them up into 6th place ahead of Tails, but then it's Nordic Ninja in this group of 8 cars now in this battle for the lead. I wonder if they're all going to try and extend to the end of this race, and that will be where the likes of Kasabi and Diogo Silva, who's got to get out of this train stuck behind Yasisaki, and I think this is the best opportunity to do so with helping out of DRS up the inside into Brooklyn as we go, and that is up to 11th now for Diogo Silva. Can chase after Kasabi and the group in front, 5 seconds. Got to be very, very quick now if they're going to challenge for the major points paying positions. Marius Forman still leads the way though ahead of Pepin, and then Moustache. Spanias in 4th ahead of Nico's. Gian Tails, but with that 3-second penalty, so we could probably rule Tian and Tailsbro. That's not exactly how it is. Tailsbro out of this race with that 3-second penalty. The yellow flags are flashing in my face. I think that's for Thomas Covers, who is retiring in the pits there. As that is the pass for the lead into Stoke Corner we go. Pepin takes it back from Mario's Formula. Kasabi gets ahead of Zane in the little group that is behind this squadron of 8 that we are looking at. The majority of them once again in the green liveried cars. But Pepin back up into the lead. It's been an absolute roller coaster for the pole sitter. Lost the lead early on, got it back, then dropped down into 3rd, then got caught out by the strategy, went a lap too long, dropped down. I think it was to a net 6th place, and now back up into the lead. Got the freshest tyres of everybody in this group bar Nordic Ninja, who's right at the back of it. So suddenly Pepin looking like the favourite for this, as Moustache trying to challenge Mario's Formula to make it a green liveried car 1-2 once again. Spanias in 4th, under pressure maybe from Nico Silva. No, it is the second green livery car, and Moustache using the DRS could potentially fancy their chances. Again, he passed Pepin as well up the inside into Brooklands, but unable to do so, and will just settle for getting 1 place into 2nd. So don't rule, that's definitely not a word. Don't rule out Moustache, don't rule out Marius Form as well. It looks like this is the trio that's going to be batting for the lead, and if anything catastrophic happens, Spanias, Nico, Gian and Tailsborough and Nordic Ninja as well will be chomping at the bit to pick up the pieces. Just under. Look at them training as they go through Copse Corner and up to Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. A little bit of a corner cut potentially there from Moustache as they go over the sausage curbs on the inside. But no corner cutting penalty yet. Surprisingly, we've only had 2, and this is going to be another pass for the lead. This is what we've been seeing on the previous few laps. The flip-flopping for the lead is Moustache, who will now take the lead of what is effectively become a peloton as they try and drag each other away from the threat of the soft tyre runners behind. Diogo Silva has come into a little bit of bother, I think, because they've dropped back behind Yasisaki and Vasquez as well. So from a race that was looking very positive for Diogo Silva. Down in 13th now, will probably be scoring minor points, if that, as this group of 8 cars continue to try and hold on to their position. 5 laps to go, 6 laps to go in fact, because we have to add 1 back on. It is Mustachidis once again locking up into turn number 3. We've seen everybody doing that so far in this session. There it is, Pepin and Mario's Formula, Spanias, Nico's, Gian. Where did Gian start? I can't quite remember because they've made up a lot of places. Yes, started down in 11th. But has done brilliantly to get up into 6th. They'll be challenging for a potential lead. That is Nordic Ninja up the inside of Telsborough. Late move up the inside of Brooklands. Couldn't quite make it stick and will stay in 8th place for the time being, as we were too busy looking at what position people started on the grid. I was taken aback by the fact that Spanias started 9th. Is up in 4th as well. So we've got some drivers who's qualified sort of in the midfield, it has to be said, are really in the challenge and the hunt for this race victory. This Moustache still leading by just over a 10th and a half from Pepin. Marius Form with Spanias. This is going to be a little bit like a peloton that I said earlier. You want to be in 2nd place on the final lap. Use that DRS to fly past on a run up to Stowe and take the victory. That is only the 3rd corner cutting penalty we've seen, and that is Devon down in 16th. Won't make too many differences to their finishing position. Through we go. Is this going to be a 3-wide moment up the inside into Stowe corner? Mario's Formula. He was optimistic. They're still going to be side by side. Himself and Pepin on the ramp into the Vale chicane. It was almost a through goes Hamilton moment. Got one of the cars. Only managed to get into 2nd though. We've got some squabbling further back as Nordic Ninja still trying to force their way past Telsborough, but is unsuccessful for the 2nd time in the lap. And Pepin, well, I mean, I'm hugely impressed at that defensive work. Able to hold on to the lead after Marius Foreman put up a hugely aggressive attack up the inside into Stowe corner. It was brilliant to watch from all 3 of them. Did well not to drive into each other and keep it clean. That's what we love to see. Good, hard and fair racing. And Marius Formula has got his cards firmly on the table. He wants this victory. He's going to be hugely on the edge to get it, I have to say, as well. Moustache in 3rd, dropping down from the lead on the previous lap. Spanias hasn't made their move yet. Are they just waiting, buying their time? You can see they've got 100% ERS charge at the moment, so got to wait and see, maybe plotting an assault in these final 5 laps that we've got. Nico's also got a lot of ERS. Gian's got a little bit less. Telsborough has got a significant amount less, and Nordic Ninja, who's probably burnt all of it in trying to get past Telsborough, has dropped out of DRS range, and that could be his challenge done, and will be consigning us to a 6-car squabble, because remember, Telsborough with that 3-second penalty will not win this race unless something absolutely cataclysmic happens for the group in front, who are all fairly equidistant. And once again, I think we're going to be seeing the flip-flopping for positions down the hanger straight on the one up into Stowe, and we're going to see some deja vu potentially of the previous lap. It's Marius falling up the inside. Moustache doesn't try and repeat the move we saw, and actually Pepin holds on to the lead of the race there. Very impressive stuff there. Holds on to it. Little look up the inside into the Vale chicane. This is Nico's making move. I thought it was Spanias trying to prepare and recharge for a late assault on the podium. Places a little bit wobbly on the exit, and now 2 twin cars there are going to go side by side through the final corner. And from Nico's going from attached, try and get up into 4th place. He's now going to have to relinquish 5th and fall down into 6th. Telsborough very close behind them as well, as the 2 twin liveried green and purple cars swap places there. Very entertaining stuff once again. We have absolutely no idea who's going to win this race, but I bet you bottom dollar it's going to be exciting in the final 4 laps until we get there. 1/10 a second between Telsborough and Nico, who was trying to get 4th place into the Vale chicane. Goes very defensive there. Tells Telsborough, you are not going up the inside of me, but they are not going to listen. 3-second penalty or not, send it up the inside into Brooklands and relegates Nico further down the order. 6th place, for Telsborough, 7th for Nico. Nordic Ninja, because of all the squabbling we've seen, has managed to close right back onto the back of this train of cars. Kasabi on those soft tyres, they're going to be past the best, but continuing to close up to the back of the Marius 4, almost pushing Pepin through Copse corner we go. Moustache a further 2/10 back, and then it is Spanias, Gian, Telsborough, Nico's and Nordic Ninja completing our lead group. And once again, who is going to be in the lead by the time we get to Stowe corner? Put your money on it. I think it's probably going to be Marius Formula, though Pepin clearly has some decent straight line speed in that car. The setup working very nicely. It's actually Moustache's potentially on the move, trying to get past Marius Formula. But look at that, Moustache going way too wide through Stowe corner and throws away a podium finish, but they're going to try and battle to the death with it, locking up into the Vale chicane. But it's Spanias who has the optimal line, going to have to hang it around the outside. Not going to get a lot of room there, you would imagine. Spanias closes the door and gets up onto the podium as Moustache making a crucial mistake there and falling down into 4th, and that could potentially be their charge for the win done as they lose track position for the second lap in a row. Look at Marius Formula again, very close to the back of Pepin. We can clearly see what the strategy is here though. Marius Formula does have a lot of ERS saved up, as does Pepin, but it must be Pepin that is running the lower wings, which means Marius Formula is going to have to dump all of that ERS, be very, very close coming through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel to have any shot of getting past Pepin on the run down into Stoke Corner. Moustache not satisfied with dropping down to fourth, wants this podium in third place, stolen back from Spanias, but can't quite get close enough with Gian Telsborough. Nico Nordic Silver still very, very optimal spectators behind, waiting for any calamities to befall the group in front of them as they fight very, very hard over the win with just 2.5 laps to go as we come up towards Copse Corner for the third last time. That's not really something that you can use. That was Pepin going a bit too wide though over the curb, potentially an opportunity for Marius Formula, who'll be sniffing a weakness from the race leader and pole sitter. As we go through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel on lap number 24. We've only got 2 more visits after this. Pepin going over to the left-hand side of the circuit. I don't think he's going to fight this too much. A little bit of ERS being burnt by Marius Formula, but not going to take the position. As you know, he has a little look up the inside of Stoke Corner. But I think we know what the tactics are. Marius Formula has laid his cards firmly down on the table. He is going to wait until the final lap, you would imagine, and then send it up the inside of Pepin with all of that ERS that's been saved up. Spanias at a disadvantage at the moment with just 50% of that battery left, and Moustache with 2/3 of it still remaining and using a lot of it as well, down to 50% there. You know that the ERS drains much quicker than it did on F123. It's something extra the drivers have to manage to a very, very constant state. Penultimate lap then. I'm completely out of breath from watching this. It's been very, very exciting. Nico sends it up the inside of Telsborough as we're watching that. Nordic Silver. These two have been battling so hard in the previous few laps. Nordic's Ninja with about 3 fishtails coming out of the first sector there, and will try and get 7th place, but just can't get through, and will stay in 8th place for the time being. Will take 7th place because of the penalty that Telsborough is holding on to, and it might kick them down to 10th place because Kasabi and Zane have closed up to the back of this pack. Zane doing a very decent job on very old medium compound tyres to just be dragged towards the leading group, and it's taken 9 laps, but Kasabi on the brand new soft tyres has managed to catch them, but I think it's too little too late, unfortunately enough. That's a big slide though, going through Copse Corner, one of the biggest moments of the race. Does very well to catch it there and not end up pitched into the barriers on the left hand side, and manages to hold that together and stays in 9th place, and crucially stays in the race. I'll pick up a few championship points here. Is this Spanias though making their move? No, they're all still happy to stay in formation, are they? Yes, Marius Formula sits behind for the time being. You think it's going to have to be Moustache as we come on to the previous lap who's going to have to make the move to potentially force Spanias to do something as well, and Zane getting up into 9th place courtesy of that huge moment we saw from Kasabi. Got all crossed up through Copse Corner, did brilliantly to save it in the end. One of the best saves I've ever seen, I have to say. Max Verstappen, Brazil 2016. Guan Yu Zhou, Monaco 2022, if anyone remembers that. And Kasabi, Silverstone, season 37. Final lap of this race, so as we come on to the first of the 2 DRS straights. I think Marius Formula, as he's done on the previous 2 laps, is going to sit behind, but maybe Pepin deciding now is the time to burn that ERS that's been saved up and try and get a buffer. This is the time to bolt on the final lap of the race. We've got a yellow flag. We've got a red car. I think that is the spun of that. I think that might be Yasuzaki. Yes, it is. On the old medium tyres, the oldest tyres of that group at the back, and does retire, so consigns himself to no points picked up in this race. 4/10 of a second the margin between Pepin and Marius Formula. Spanias sat just behind a further 4/10 of a second. Then it's Moustache, Zian, Nikos, Telsborough, Nordic Ninja, Zane and Kasabi, all in this leading group. Coming through Copse Corner. I'm losing my voice. We've done so much shouting. Marius Formula very close to the back of Pepin. Moustache and Spanias going side by side. Little bit of wheel banging involved. This is huge nerve to try and go side by side through this corner. And of course it ends badly. Spearing off wide is Spanias, who falls down to the back of this group. But we've got a battle for the lead that we've got to think about as well, because it's Marius Formula. Defensive goes Pepin, but doesn't go defensive enough. There's just enough room up the inside for Marius Formula into Stoke Corner. Pepin runs slightly wide. Going to try and fight this on the way down into the Vale chicane. Who's going to have the traction? Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? More contact in the battle for the lead group, but it is Marius Formula using the sausage curve to get up into the lead. Gian's going to take second on the line as Pepin runs out of fuel. What an end to the race that was. His Moustache in 4th ahead of Nico. Nordic Ninja, Spanias will be cursing what happened through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Contact with Moustache, who was trying to get through. Zane, Kasabi and Telsborough complete our top 10. Then it's Vasquez, ET8 Paul, Diogo Silva will be disappointed to be down in 13th after a strategy that was looking so promising. Darth FIFA retired over the line. I think was 14th in the end. Casper Flack, hugely unfortunate. We tried to get Casper back in but for whatever reason wasn't working. I do feel for him a lot, because I was trying my best there to get him back in. We could have had another driver in that incredible scrap we had for the lead. They're probably not going to be too pleased with each other there, I have to say, but hugely exciting. And we didn't have the best camera angle to see what happened going through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. I'm sure Moustache and Spanias will have differing views. Moustache didn't lose too much, entered that sequence of corners in 4th place, finished the race in 4th place, but the victory was certainly there for the taking. But it's Mario's formula that kicks the season off with a victory. I am amazed that Gian has come through to finish in 2nd. That would have to be my driver of the day. Absolutely exceptional performance, and that move coming round the final corner to get up into 2nd place right on the line as the pole sitter Pepin ran out of fuel. Little bit of argy-bargy between all drivers in there, but very fun to watch. I think you will all agree there. And there's your race winner, kicking off the season in the perfect fashion. Look at the gaps there. Top 5 covered by less than a second in a 26-lap race. That's what we want to see in PSGL. Marius Formula, Gian, Pepin, Moustache and Nico. Nordic Ninja. I can't get Nordic Ninja right. I do apologise severely, but didn't quite have the outright pace to get ahead of that group of cars in front. Spanias was the big loser in that final lap. Skirmish dropping down to 7th. Zane, Kasabi and Talesborough completing our top 10 and point scorers. Then there was a bit of a gap to the group behind of Vasquez, ET8 Paul and Lakitu, Casper Flack, hugely unfortunate. Devon also. The bad day for the McLaren Esports liveried cars there. Kevin Nye in 16th, ahead of Diogo Silva, Darth FIFA. Oh wait, these guys both retired over the line, so they were 13th and 14th, in fact, and then Yasisaki and Thomas Covers, the only non-finishers. What a huge, exciting race. I've got to tell everyone about the sponsors, though, as well. Brilliant sponsors that we've got at PSGL. There was so much racing action. You've got to get involved with GT Omega, though. If you want to improve your sim racing equipment, get some incredible gear to help level yourself up, if you head over there and use the code PSGL, that will get you a lovely 5% discount on all of their products, and I implore you to go and do that. There's some excellent stuff over there, and for some coaching as well, if you want to get yourself a little bit quicker, get some setups, get some strategy, get some training of course as well, head over to Sim Racing Centre SRC and you use the same code PSGL for 10% off their services. But that is going to finish the round. I can't get my words out. Too exciting. Too many words said. Get me on the horse racing commentary with the words per minute there. We probably broke a record halfway through that race, I have to say. But hugely exciting. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Next week, I think Byron will be back as well. So it should be a commentary duo. Thank you everybody for watching. Huge exciting race. Next week we're going to go through the calendar quickly as well. I was going to do that at the start. There's been so much to cover. We started here in Silverstone. We go around the globe. Miami, Austria. Then we've got a break through to Barcelona, round number 4. Then the Hungaroring, Suzuka, Jeddah, Mexico, Spa, Monza, Qatar, and then finishing at the home of the season finales. The race that we should always end in real life at. It is Interlagos at Brazil to end our 12 race calendar. Hugely exciting. Thank you everybody for joining us, and yeah, we will see you in a week's time for Miami, where hopefully we see some very exciting racing once again. Thank you everybody for watching, and until then,